Hey everybody, what is up? This is Devin, LaVore, and
Michelle LaVore
coming at ya. So yesterday was, I think Saturdays have generally been our day off, right?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, Saturdays have been our day off. It's appointed by the Lord,
Yeah.
because he still operates on the Jewish calendar and his Jewish ways. Of course, the Jewish ways come from his ways. But anyway, so it's like, because Saturday was their Sabbath,
their
whatever.
Sabbath.
But it was just, yesterday was different,
It was.
because we were like, Lord, what's going on? What are you thinking? What's going on in your heart today? And I just wanted to share what the Lord gave me yesterday, and then Michelle will chime in and share what the Lord gave her yesterday, which kind of coincides.
Yeah.
It was really good yesterday. I was like, okay. And then we wake up this morning, we're like, man, it still feels the same way.
Yeah.
But I guess yesterday was really a quiet day. It was really just quiet in the spirit.
Yeah.
It's like when you hang out with your best friend, they're there and you're there, but you're just not saying anything.
Yeah. But you're well aware that they're there.
And nothing's wrong. There's no like, ooh, did I do something to, you know what I mean? It's just like, so I was just like, Lord, okay, so what's going on? And so what the Lord shared with me yesterday, I'm going to just kind of share it really quick, as quickly as I can. He reminded me of Zechariah 2:13, which says, and this is something I got that afternoon of the 15th.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so. Somewhere around there.
And it says, Zechariah 2:13, be still, all flesh, before the Lord, for he is aroused and risen from his holy habitation. Meaning, whatever it is that you're waiting for God to do or hoping for him to do, he's already risen to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he reminded me of the scriptures that he gave me about how Jesus, whenever he was moved with compassion to do a miracle, someone would come to him and they needed something. They needed a miracle. And he was moved with compassion to do it. And that miracle happened immediately. And I felt like the Lord reminded me, because I was like, well, Lord, you said that you were moved with compassion to do the miracle. That was like on the 15th.
Yeah.
Nothing's happened.
Yeah.
And I felt like the Lord was saying, but when it does happen, boom, it's going to be immediate.
Yeah.
It's like I have to get up, and there's a process even. I don't know, but it's like when the hand touches you, boom, it's going to be immediate.
Yeah, just like in your vision with the whirlwind. It's like when Jesus put out his hand, it was this immediate,
like immediate
sending.
Boom, sending. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Almost makes me want to spare your life. You got to watch Kung Fu Panda 3 to get that. That's something me and my son talk about all the time. It's just hilarious. We do movie quotes in this family. That's why in our prophetic interview, I was like, Joa, are you doing movie quotes, buddy?
Yeah.
He was like, yes. Because he does movie quotes nonstop all day.
Yeah.
He communicates in movie quotes.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to train him not to do it. And I don't know where he gets it from. But anyway, he also reminded me of Luke 18, 1-8, I believe it is, which the widow and the unjust judge. And the Lord was like, when I come to earth, am I going to find that kind of faith? And I felt like the Lord was like, when I come, am I going to find that kind of faith waiting for me? It's like, God gave me this vision of everyone on this hayride. Hayrides are slow. It's not a vision of everyone piled on top of a supercar. It was a hayride. And it was like basically, I think it was just me and my family and like 3 or 4 other people were on this hayride. When it started out, it was packed with people. And the Lord was like, when I come to deliver the miracle and the promise and the thing that I'm wanting to do, am I going to find that kind of faith? Am I going to find people still on the hayride?
Yeah.
Am I going to find people still on the wagon,
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to turn around and see that it's empty,
Yeah. And I just kind of want to make like a side note with the hayride in the wagon and wanting to get off. And yesterday for me was actually kind of a really difficult emotional day. I woke
You didn't fall off the wagon.
I didn't fall off, but it was definitely...
you were hiding under a bunch of hay.
Yeah.
You were like...
But it's like... I really was. I woke up with this sense of like, man, like nothing has happened
It's
yet.
called despair.
Yeah, it was. I was very much in a place of despair. And
Yeah.
I walked by our calendar and it was just like, like nothing's happened. We only have 1 week left of September, and just
Was Doug Addison's word ringing in your
yes,
mind?
I thought,
September to remember.
To remember, and I'm like, we got a week left. How what am I supposed to remember?
Not very memorable.
And he's like, so, and it really just put me into this really bad place. I mean, and of just like starting to doubt, well, really doubting, really just
full blown.
Yeah.
Not starting.
And just well, I didn't go to like the total extremes that I've been to before, but it honestly
That's progress.
It honestly
Celebrate the victories.
kind of surprised me, because I personally was like, I thought I was beyond where I was yesterday, and here it comes popping up, rising up again, and so it kind of took me by surprise. I really almost felt like Peter when he denied Christ.
Oh, wow. What a good example.
Because he really, honestly, when he said, Lord, I would never deny you, I mean, he was speaking like, I would never do that. And then to turn around and then do that, it just crushed him. And so I really...
It's a self-revealing thing.
Yeah, I really kind of felt like that yesterday. And just because it was like, I didn't think I would get back to that place. I thought, yes, like, I'm doing so good, like we're doing so good in the Lord, and just having faith, and we're moving forward, and God's brought all this breakthrough to like end up going back
internal breakthrough.
Yeah, internal breakthrough to end up going back there. And it was just like, I felt horrible. And but I still stayed on the hayride.
You
but
did.
It's just like, I think it's hard.
And you sat up straight toward the end. You were like, I'm going to get myself out of this hay. Get this hay out of my hair.
Yeah. And it's like, I didn't get off, but it's just, it can be really easy, I think, to just give up. And
it's funny because I was like the full of faith guy yesterday.
You were.
And I'm kind of feeling it today. I'm just like, okay, this is what Michelle was feeling yesterday. I got to get myself up. I got to encourage myself. Got to speak life over myself.
Mm-hmm.
Watched something by Terry Savelle Foy yesterday. It was really awesome. It's like she said, you can't expect victory while speaking defeat.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that title set me free.
Yeah, I think that title kind of, for me yesterday, it was
stab.
Like, oh, it's like, we're never going to have victory, and it's all my fault, and
what a world,
I am a worm.
Yeah, I'm a worm. I love it.
So, yeah, it definitely, that was the place I was in yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that really, far down, but I'm just like,
but it is, there's like a heart longing and a heart sickness for God to break through.
Like, Lord, don't you care? That, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And
yeah.
It's like,
but
the Lord cares.
But I don't know, like, ultimately, though, it's like, I'm like, no, I'm not getting off this hayride. And I really did. I mean, I was praying, like, Lord, help me, because I am so beyond... Like, I felt so far beyond able to do anything. And it was just like, God, just please help me.
It's a great place to be.
And
in my weakness,
yeah, He is made strong.
Is made perfect, yeah.
And so, yeah, he did. He brought me back to a place of hope and to a place of just like, no, just keep going.
So what did it turn out to be? It was just a moment.
It was just a moment.
I made a video on that once, but I feel like it bears repeating,
Yeah, it's just
like
a moment.
It was just a moment. Don't let this one moment of perceived failure tell you that you failed. Because it's not. You didn't get off the hayride. You didn't really stop believing that God was going to do what He's going to do. You're just like torn up by the waiting.
Yeah.
And the constant pressing needs that we have in our lives, that it's like God is not moving, but our needs are moving.
Yeah.
And it's like, hello, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, why can't we just go to the other side of the equal sign already, where all of this stuff's not really even an issue?
Yeah.
But it's like...
But there is just, I think, that the growth that God wants to bring us through, and that is really kind of what he's showing both Devin yesterday and myself. Yeah. So you can keep going.
Okay, well, he showed me all the Zechariah 2:13, but basically it was just like, be still, man. chill out. You know, he reminded me of where we were at. You know, he reminded me of where he's at. That he's ready. He's already risen. He's already moving his hand this way to touch us and for us to receive the miracle. And when he fully extends his hand, felt the Lord on that one. Then when we get that touch, the miracle will be immediate. And then he reminded me also about like how the books of remembrance are open. Yes. Malachi 3:16 through 17. How the books of remembrance are open. And what that means is God's going to remember all of our sacrifices and all of our offerings and everything that we've done in him to glorify him and bring honor to his name. Psalm 20, that entire psalm, basically. You can read that, which is basically going to come with reward. When he opens it up, it's going to come with reward. Mm-hmm. It's going to come with promotion. It's going to come with elevation. He's reminding me of all these things. And he reminds me of, and these are all videos I've done before.
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing. He's like, look, you need to look at the track record of the things I've been saying to you, and this is where you're at. He's like, this is where I'm at. Now let me show you where you're at. Yeah. And he reminded me of sitting in the lawyer's office. It was a video I did about sons versus soldiers. And Bill Johnson said there's certain things that God can only give to sons that he just can't bestow to soldiers. And it's like you have to be like, he showed me that vision of the son sitting in the lawyer's office. So while you're waiting in the lawyer's office, you're waiting for the lawyer to come in and read the will of the father to see like, well, what has he left you? What is your inheritance? And then that reminded me of the word that God gave us back in April when we were going through the Brentwood scouting trip that we didn't know was a scouting trip about. He said it's time to inherit. Yeah. That was back in April, y'all, just to say. Yeah. You know, I was like, is it time? Really? I guess you could just say it's time for you to return as well. And then maybe a couple thousand years, you know, it's time. No, you know, you just mess with the Lord like that. He's not offended.
He thinks
you know?
It's funny.
He's like, oh, bless your heart. But anyway, there's that sense of like you're sitting. So there is an expectation that you have while you're sitting in the lawyer's office because you know the Father's will is getting ready to be read and you're getting ready to find out, you know, what you've inherited. You know, I mean, and again, is it all about us inheriting stuff and inheriting a breakthrough? What is the purpose of the inheritance and the breakthrough and all that stuff? It's to equip us to do what God's calling us to do. God's not trying to get us to live this great little life and okay, that's it. Oh, aren't you blessed? No, there's a purpose and a destiny that God is going to birth, and he's trying to birth, and he's trying to like build our character enough to handle. You know, it's not just about us, but God doesn't mind us having nice things and a nice setup and all that to do it. You know, I don't want to get into that, but you know, and then God he reminded me of that vision that he gave me of the lady at the cash register thing in the cafeteria, and she was called up to the boss's office to get a promotion. Now, he also reminded me, yesterday was a big reminder, that's really all it was. He said, when you're sitting in the lawyer's office and you hear what the will of the Father is, it's being read by the lawyer, and the vision of the boss giving the lady in the vision the promotion, both of those are going to be enacted by a certain officer. And the Lord reminded me of the 2 Kings chapter 8, where the king was like, and he appointed a certain officer to give back the lady all that she would have had during that 7 years of famine. Because that's always been a word for us, a certain officer. Like some certain officer is going to come into our lives and help us get to where we need to get to, basically, and equip us and help us get going in the vision that God has in the vision. So you have to have a vision. That's kind of like what I felt like one of the things the Lord said to me this morning was about, what's your vision? And it was another reminder of like, see, you've already got a vision that's not really about you. Your vision is to disciple, but you want to live in a nice house and with some land and all that. We've already covered that part, and it's like God's like, I don't have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem with that. You know, what he has a problem with is if the house and the cars and the nice land and all that stuff is the vision. He's like, I'm not into that.
Yeah.
That you can do that on your own. The world chases after those things. Go ahead and chase after those things. I'm not into that. But it's like, if you're going to honor me, I will honor you.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And then the Lord also reminded me of the graduation thing that you got, where we're just sitting there waiting for our names to be called. So if you see what's going on, God's like, I'm already getting up on stage. I'm already getting up to do my thing. What you're doing is you're waiting. You're in this place of waiting. You're waiting in the lawyer's office. You're waiting on this side of the boss's desk. You're waiting in your seat at graduation. Now, why is that a bummer? It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because God told me, he's like, at the end of this, he was like, you need to have hope. Have a good attitude, joy, confident expectation of good coming your way. Because all of those visions that he gave me are just that. Like, you know you're getting ready to graduate. You know your name's getting ready to be called up. It's not going to be like that God's going to go through all the names, and then it's like, oh, well, your name didn't get called. I guess you didn't graduate. Like, oh, you didn't know that you still needed a semester of economics to graduate? No. It's not like that. Not only that, but the Lord said there is a scheduled date for these things.
Yeah.
When you talk about graduation or someone getting promoted, or the reading of the will, these things aren't random. These things aren't like, oh, well, I'll call you when I'm just ready to do it. No, graduation happens at a specific time.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Can you imagine the logistics on a high school level? Where it's just like, okay, it was time to call the folks and tell them that graduation is going to be at this particular time. Yeah. But even if they did, it's still going to be, even if the logistics were a nightmare, there's a date scheduled. A boss, he figures out who he's going to promote way ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, well, today's the day I need to, it's Monday, call up so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And then they come up.
Yeah.
Reading of the will. That's a date. Yeah. That's a specific thing. So I felt like the Lord gave me these things to encourage me, because he reminded me of that. Like the whole video we did, what was it called? The not many days from now.
Yeah.
That whole video was not so much a not many days from now. I really sensed that it was a not many days from now thing, but the heart of that video was that there's a specific day that God has set. Mm-hmm. So that when he does release what he's going to release in our lives, it can have maximum impact, which is why we use the whole Pentecost thing, you know? And we didn't get caught up in the whole, 10 days from this video, God's going to, no, don't do that. We learned and we passed that test. I didn't even let that stuff get in my heart, And the problem with this is that we don't know the date. Yeah. That's the problem. But it shouldn't be a problem. Oh, wow, he's talking. It shouldn't be a problem, because the Lord says, listen, I know the date. I know what's going on. Yeah. This is where you're seated. You're seated in the lawyer's office. You're seated at your graduation seat. You're seated on the other side of the boss's desk. You're waiting for the boss to come in and tell you. In all these situations, you're waiting for God to do his thing. Yeah. Yeah. And so that leads into what you were going to talk about. But I got to go get the baby.
Yeah, so last night, basically, I just
Come here, buddy.
finally got to a place where I was like, okay, I just need to hear from God, really. And it was after all the kids were in bed. And
it's the best time to hear from God, actually.
It's quiet. And so I was reading Psalm 46, and what really stood out to me was the verse 10, and it said, "Let be and be still, and know that I am God." And it goes on to say, "I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." But
I like how it says, like in the Amplified, it says, "Know, recognize and understand."
That I am God.
Yeah.
And it really fits in also with the Zechariah 2:13.
And all of this stuff.
And really all of it.
It's just like, you got to recognize that, listen, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Chill out, man.
And he really just was showing me, like, just be still. Like, all day long, I was just worried. And that first part, like, let be. It was like, just put away all those things that you keep thinking about, keep bringing up, all these questions, all of that. It's like, just let it go. And be still and know that I am God.
And I think the Lord knows that is very difficult for us.
Yeah,
but it's like we tell our own kids. It's like, just because it's difficult doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You have to do difficult things like all the time. All the time. And you got to do them. And by doing them, you become strong.
Yeah. And so then we had some music on, and it was just instrumental music, and it had some Bible verses that would flash up. And the one we were listening to was "Be Still," the title.
Yeah.
And so it flashed up another verse, which was Psalm 37:7, and it said, "Be still and rest in the Lord. Wait for Him and patiently lean yourself upon Him." And again, it was just this: just be still, just rest.
That was
just
definitely
wait.
the word yesterday,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I actually started reading some of the verses before it, and I kind of want to read them because I just feel like it's just another reminder of, okay, God is moving. God is going to do what He said He's going to do. And it says, basically, trust in the Lord and do good. So shall you dwell in the land and feed surely on His faithfulness, and truly you shall be fed. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and He will give you the desires and secret petitions of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in Him, and He will bring it to pass. And it says, and He will make your uprightness and right standing with God go forth as the light, and your justice and right as the shining sun of noonday. But I think what was just kind of really stood out to me with those was the trust, delight, and commit. It's like when you're doing all of those things.
I did not know you were going there.
But it's like when you're trusting God, when you're delighting in God, when you're committed to God, He's like, I'm going to feed you. Like, I'm going to give you the desires of your heart, and He is going to bring it to pass. And so it's like, this is my promise to you if you just do these things. And it's like all of those are right before He says, be still and rest in the Lord. And it's like when we know those things in our heart, it's like we can be still and rest in God because He's already promised us, and God does not break His promises. And I think, even for me yesterday, it was that just the fear of like God's not going to do what He said He's going to do, which is a lie. God, when He promises things, He will bring them to pass.
Because it's easy to look at your current state of life.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I feel like that was really strong yesterday. Look at your life now here on earth. Look at your life. And I was telling Michelle, I was like, isn't it funny how last week God was just filling us with visions of heaven and our place in heaven, and God's like, heaven is your reality. And now all of a sudden we're pulled back from the feeling of that and seeing all that stuff, and we feel like we're more earthbound than we've ever been.
Yeah.
And we feel like more powerless than we've ever been. And we don't feel anything. And I felt like the Lord was like, see, are you going to operate in just knowing that it's true? Yeah. Or do you have to feel something or see a vision or something like that? Or will you walk in faith and the maturity of just knowing that, no, this is true?
Yeah. So walking in the Spirit versus really walking in our emotions, walking in the flesh of what the flesh is telling us. And
a feeling or a seeing,
because it
you gotta
really
walk by the eyes of the Spirit.
Yeah, because feelings don't usually take you to any place good.
Yeah. So I think that will be all for today.
Yeah. So, if just rest in the Lord, know that He's going to, He's already arisen. He is going to do what He says He's going to do in our lives. Yeah.
And we do have a kind of a part 2 of this video coming out pretty soon after this one. And it's going to talk about what happens when we don't wait on the Lord. What will happen to us when we do jump off the wagon?
Yeah.
And I'm sure a ton of you are going to be so interested to hear that. So come on back.
Yes.
You're going to love it.
So until next time.
Yep.
We'll see ya.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.